Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is DB333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, the New Order Last Days of Europe as Rush Commissariat, Ostafrika. Last video, we really started the war, and we really started just fucking kick ass. It's not even that close, honestly. In fact, I think if it gets to a point where I'll have to read all the little focuses, I'll do that, just because I'm nervous we might not get all the lore. Especially like these ones. I think they're going to be very important in order to the story and what's going to happen once we end up winning the war. Which, it's a matter of when at this point, not if. Well, there goes Heydrich and there goes Speer. The two guys I kind of root for, because I did the YouTube on them, are gone. I don't traditionally root for Heydrich, and it'd be fun, but just, you know, I have a soft spot for all the paths that I've done nations as. So Speer's gone, and Heydrich is gone. So now we just got Fat Man and Boring Man. Although I know Borman's path is apparently fucking great, riding-wise, and we're meaning to do it eventually. It's just, I've done 2 of the Germans already. I want to space it out. But yeah, here we go. Well, there goes Johnny boy. We're closing in on Cape Town. And honestly, even if I didn't want to keep pushing, it seems that everyone is actually pretty fucking competent right now. Which is opposed to the idea that everyone is fucking useless. I want to check out the drums real quick. Yeah, those are some pretty good bonuses. They are split in 2. They are being split right down the fucking middle. This is fucking... God. Amidst a vast hellscape of degeneracy and barbarism, a bastion of civilization that once stood proud and firm. His name was Paul Hume, a model SS man, dutiful, skilled, and composed, once commended by superiors as a testament to the courtesy and intelligence of the Aryan mind. Those are simpler times. Like Ozymandias before him, agelessly weathered the once great foundations. Each retreat brought a new fallen brother, a new nervous tick, a new assault on his psyche. With all the fury he can muster, he waged war against his cowardice, yet his efforts were in vain. Creeping futility lurked, repressed in the back of his mind, growing until it had reached a fever pitch. All was lost. His brothers lie dead or missing. His fatherland tore apart. The Lebensraum fought so dearly for decades ago, buried by an unceasing tide of subhumans. Most of all, Paul himself was lost. The once towering Aryan specimen, reduced to a half-naked husk, muttering to himself among the weeds. The troll passed over him, its headlights drawing long shadows across the dirt road. Paul fingered the grenade pin. The time was now. Degeneracy had seeped into his body, but not his mind and soul. And he will die in service to his people, his Reich and his Führer long before it shall. With a loose cry, the broken Aryan rose up, willed the last of his race's innate Führer to a forlorn hope. 3 shots rang through the night, the final collapse ensured. Here lies a proud son of the Reich. Well, we got all the ones that are actually going to benefit us immediately. I need to mute my Discord. I apologize for that. I always forget to, I sometimes forget to mute, set myself to do not disturb, and that will fucking notify people. And now I'm getting a message on WhatsApp. Everyone's starting to fucking message me. God damn it. We need weapons. More weapons. Our enslaved workforce isn't skilled enough to produce the most modern weapons at our disposal, so we'll have to find ways to make the production process both simpler and more economic for our limited resources pool. Prefabrication, modular designs, removing costly redundant parts, replacing advanced components. We'll try everything in our power to ensure that every man has a rifle in his hands. Oh yeah, there we go. And we're going to be pushing into, the end is nigh. We're about to take Cape Town. I'm so used... Ah, shit, there goes Brasilia. God, I'm so used to the fucking AI being incompetent with them playing, I kind of forgot. Man, if I actually play as them, it's going to go a lot smoother. And it was a lot smoother. And we fucking decimated them. Oh, man. Well, the war is won. Der Krieg ist gewonnen. I think that's what it would be in German. I don't know. I haven't gone over that section in Duolingo yet, so I don't know for certain. The march southwards was one embrace with blood. Battle after battle, the screams and begging of wounded men to be killed grew tiresome for the Reichskommissar Hans Hüttig, finally being squashed out of their miserable existences as their tank treads inched forward. The Schutzstaffel regiments of Reichskommissariat Ostafrika had proved successful warriors upon the African front. The final siege proved no different from every other butchery. Final battle erupted as the Ostafrikan commitment to the war had been begun, under strict orders of Hüttig. The odor of smoke and burnt flesh, coupled with the screaming, continued for hours, till from the safety of the FOB, the Reichskommissar could bear no more of its weight. He ordered the immediate advance of his regiments across the African plain until it would assault the Cape, the last bastion defense. Thus he marched onwards, burning the land, under strict orders not to leave a denizen alive. And thus, under the burning stars of the African night, Hüttig awaited the news of battle. Echoes of gunfire erupted, followed by eventual rising flames of a city, as he heard tank shells crumpling the scum-ridden buildings that had made up the city. Finally, hours later, a blown soldier burnt into Hüttig's room, causing a thunder slam as the door hit the wall. The soldier shouted, Reichskommissar Hüttig, news from the Rottenführer. You're allowed to draft him. The African night is cold, you know, he said, immediately shooting up from his seat and walking to a soldier with a bottle in hand. Sir, my deepest apologies. I was sent to inform you of the victory over South Africa. The combatants have been flushed out. Our regiments alongside those of Reichskommissar Schenk and Miel have claimed victory tonight, sir. Victory. Did you say that of Reichskommissar Schenk and Miel? Yes, sir. The soldier's statement was cut off as Hüttig smashed the bottle over his head, ordering him out of the room. The end of the war was Hüttig's victory, and Hüttig's victory alone in his mind. If Africa is secure, we've done our duty to the Reich. The most controversial and significant international conflicts in Second World War. The South African War has now seemingly come to an end as German forces finally overran last OFN positions across South Africa. Whilst the bulk of the U.S. forces had already been evacuated, the final days of the war were still consumed by the chaos as pro-OFN South Africans attempted to flee the country, with the U.S. Embassy in Cape Town forced to evacuate by helicopter. What does that, guys, remind you of? Whilst hostilities officially continue with no formal ceasefire signed, the catastrophic outcome of the war for the OFN has raised serious questions about the future of the United States internationally following a second decisive withdrawal from the conflict within 2 decades, for the abandonment of another key ally to force Nazism. Peace at last. How's it going, McCormick? Huh? So yeah. One thing that's always kind of confused me about the lore, and I'm sure I've brought this up in the US series and maybe some others, is I think making a parallel to Vietnam with South Africa doesn't make very much sense. Because Vietnam, I guess this is an American history lesson. Vietnam is a pretty dubious war in American history because there's a lot of questions of whether it was actually worthwhile going to war with it. Oh, there goes Novosibirsk kicking ass. Because the questions of who's really better, the South Vietnamese, who are nominally Western aligned, although they're not a very nice dictatorship, versus the North Vietnamese, which they're not a nice dictatorship either. And then you have that whole fight, split North and South. There's a lot of questions, morally, whether it's worth fighting. Whether if the other side wins, if it would really be that bad, other than the whole geopolitical considerations. The moral question is the big one. South Africa, the moral question is clear. If the Nazis win, it's fucking horrible. I think you can arguably make a better analogy to Korea with South Africa. Because the South, which we had aligned with and was same sort of deal, kind of a shitty dictatorship at the time, Western aligned, invaded by the North, and I mean we all know what's happening right now with North Korea. So it might not be the worst thing to step in and help out because the consequences of not are clear. So I think the best analogy to South Korea isn't Vietnam, like Tino kind of alludes to, but Korea. And again, this is a bit of a simplified version of all of this. So, check with again salt. Because a lot of the focus is in, or the script, events for the South African War are very Vietnam-esque. I think the better analogy is, I think it's kind of obvious, Indonesia. Fighting out the war there. That's a more Vietnam scenario, both in geographic comparisons, although I guess once you get up to the jungles, there are some analogies there. Geographic, the question of what's the best, whether it's worth fighting. That's just a little historical nitpick I got, or I guess alt historical nitpick. So my question is, what now? Because we've won. Bormann is about to win. Is there going to be something that happens when Bormann... We got Allende. Oh, well, it's not... Okay, I guess Allende hasn't been elected, but it's not... I hope nothing bad happens to him. Sure, there's no historical precedent to something bad happen to democratic socialists in Chile. Bormann is one. I'm not quite sure what's supposed to kick off. I think what's... Let's see, Germany is back in business. I have a feeling the next stage is going to happen when I send the evidence. So I'm going to save real quick. A fun fact, this is the first back-to-back recording I've done. I believe this is going to be Friday's episode, so I record Thursday episode, and this is the first time I've filmed an episode right after that. The past couple days, I've just been recording one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and send the evidence. We've prepared all the evidence we have collected into our investigation of Schenck and Mueller into two highly detailed reports. What's left to ship them off to Germany and hope that the officials who have been tasked to handle such affairs are not sufficiently degenerate. but in case that's not the case. Let's supply the Boers. Our Boer friends are brave and loyal to the cause, but they lack the most basic supplies, from medical equipment to modern artillery. Since they are first line against the Amerikaner, we need to ensure they can fight effectively and resist until our larger reinforcement can relieve their front. Trains and truck convoys will depart immediately for Rhodesia and deliver them whatever might be useful to them. For the sake of victory, let's hope they aren't bombed on the road. Reichskommissar. We have received your report and have studied in full. We are appalled by the fact that the Reichskommissar such as yourself would debase the office you hold with such lies and allegations. The two men you're accusing of are honorable and exemplary members of the National Socialist German Workers' Party with spotless records. Reichskommissar Müller has defended the possessions of the Reich from the Cameroonian menace to provide a constant supply of income to the Reich even in our economic hardship. Reichskommissar Schenk is a heroic fighter ace with legendary exploits during the Second Weltkrieg in over Russia. Even now defends the Reich from its enemies in the Sahara. To tax them with such flimsy evidence is nothing short of disgraceful and unbecoming of fellow Reichskommissar. The Kanzlei will decide your fate in due time. A meeting to decide on the sanctions of your actions will be convened as soon as possible. Consider yourself to be in a precarious position and prepare yourself for the potential retirement or reassignment. Heil Hitler. Philipp Boulder, Chef der Kanzlei des Führers der Nationalsozialist Deutsche Arbeiterpartei. That sort of incompetent fools inhabit Germania. That's enough. I've had enough. There's evidence that I'm the only one actually fighting to win the war. All the others are merely playing fucking games. This is not a game! We are fighting to protect the Aryans in Africa. To defeat the Amerikaner. This is not a fucking game! They can't be trusted. Müller can't be trusted. Schenk can't be trusted. No one can be trusted. No one. Traitors. Traitors everywhere! I'm alone. But I will win alone. And then everything will be right. Everything. Let's move the fleets back. Curious, am I supposed to make our way? Okay, I understand now. Schenk complains that his bombers runs can't breach the Amerikaner bunkers. Then they'll burn them with napalm, with anything that can catch fire. You won't oppose me. I won't let them. The Amerikaner, the Canadians, the Anglos, all of them to burn. They will scream and curse the leaders for having sentiment to the dark continent. The darkness will eat them all, one by one, until we are the only ones left. Let's see Schenk's face when I can do his job even better than him. Müller wants more monies for his soldiers. No. You won't get a single Weishmark. Not anymore! Not for me, at least. Perhaps he should go to his masters, beg for some dollars. Seems he likes them more with all that Amerikaner stomped on each bill than a swastika. We'll find more soldiers, more than Müller could ever provide. Children will do. 12 years old, at least. No, let's make it 10. So they can already take up a rifle. They'll learn. Or they will die. Such a cruel word. Will the high and mighty, democracy-loving Amerikaner shoot a child, even of an inferior race? I truly hope so, or their moral qualms will be their undoing. Have you ever felt true pain? Have you ever felt true fear? Fear of dying? Dying with your skin falling from your limbs? Your flesh covering in necrotic plagues before your eyes until your eyes burn inside your sockets, and then you die, screaming without mouth and tongue, crying without eyes, cursing your mother for giving birth to you only so you could die in such a horrific way. And your Makana will die. They will all die. Does they think me too much a coward and a traitor like Shank and Mueller? Me! They will pay for their impudence. They will pay with their lives. And once I, Vinzavar, I will ensure no one can speak ill of me or the fatherland. Don't be so harsh on me. This is not a fratricide. This is justice of the highest kind. I don't need proof of their betrayal. I know it! They knowingly hindered the effort to ensure our defeat. The Reich's defeat. My defeat! But they failed. And now they will pay, all of them. But first I've ended this war. I don't need them, not anymore. I need the resources, though, and the industry, not the men, especially Mueller's. They'll get a court-martial and a firing squad. Perhaps too merciful, but I have little time for little men. For my former brothers, instead, I have a new batch of gas, the most potent my scientists could produce. It will be thanks to them, for the humiliations, for their betrayal. Now I will be alone, and no one will be able to betray me. Siegfried Mueller knelt in the tall grass, skinning the freshly slain gazelle with a hunting knife. He relished in the feeling of watching the sunset over a savanna, a weapon in one hand, the pelt of one of the dark continent's great beasts over the other. He'd often wondered whether he could just never return to Leopoldville and stand survive for the rest of his life. But he never went through with it. After all, it would mean leaving behind all his trophies of previous hunts. Carrying 2 gazelle skins back to his helicopter, Mueller decided to pick up the radio and check in on how that poor bastard von Thoma was doing at Hujik's strategy meeting. Adler von Tukando, von, come in. How's Billy doing? Over. The radio stayed silent for a few moments, but when it crackled back to life, it made Mueller blanch. This is Kondo, von! They're taking fire on the helipad from Hujik's men! Scheiße. The co-pilot's down. We're trying to... 3 more on the left side! We're trying to take off, but there's no sign of von Thoma. If you need... The transmission ended with a scream and a burst of submachine gun fire. Mueller changed the frequency on the radio and picked it up again. Rolf. Come in, Rolf. It's Siegfried. I want you to have all my personal effects in my office packed up in the next flight to Germania. Legally, I don't care. I want you on that flight too. Bring anything you don't want to live without. Don't go to the office, send someone else to do it. With any luck, we'll be having tea in the Tiergarten this time next week. Oh shit, I woke up my mom with yelling, God damn it. Oh, that's awkward. Don't go to the office, send someone else to do it. If any luck, we'll be having tea in the Tiergarten this time next week. Tschüss. He turned to the pilot and said, Time to take off. Back to Leopoldville, Reichskommissar? No, not there. Just anywhere that isn't part of this godforsaken colony. No more distractions. Heil Hutig. I think this is the same focus. All I know is that we have now passed the point of no return. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa forevermore. We achieved the impossible. The war against the fearless South Africans and Judeo-Bolshevik masters in Washington won. The traitors in Windhoek and Leopoldville have been removed from their offices. Only Stadtholder Huttig remains tall, and nothing will stop him from achieving his vision for Africa. Already his factories are humming and releasing their fumes in preparation for future prosperity. The fields and mines are filled with laborers, gathering metals and rubber for our soldiers. Without the traitors that left the degenerates and the rebels to their own devices, we have access to even more resources to exploit. No one can oppose us. With our flanks secured, and without the bureaucrats from Germania interfering with our work... Oh, goddamn, I was gonna... Without the bureaucrats from Germania interfering with our work, the reins of the Reichsstadt are in our hands. Stadtholder Huttig can realize his vision for a Pan-African Aryan empire, where the German race can settle and prosper, and where the native learns his place. Our triumph is inevitable. Stadtholder Huttig will be the master of Africa, just like Hitler was the master of Europe. And we will follow him wherever he will lead us. Glory to the Reichsstadt. Glory to the Aryan race. Sig Heil.